What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, Jaclyn Foster. She is the owner and founder of del.trust Legal Staffing Solutions, which she founded in March of 2020, just as the pandemic was taking hold of all of us. As you can imagine, through her delivery of unparalleled virtual paralegal staffing solutions, she quickly skyrocketed to the top, and del.trust went from zero to $500,000 in revenue in just 3 years. In addition to running del.trust, Jaclyn Foster is also the mastermind behind the Paralegal Mastery Lounge, where she helps paralegals looking to elevate their careers and unlock their earning potential. The Paralegal Mastery Lounge is packed full of monthly workshops, career development webinars, and legal industry guest expert appearances. Jaclyn is empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and entrepreneur paralegals all over the country. So if you're a paralegal who's thinking that you may want one day to start that freelance paralegal business and you want to know what your potential earning capacity for that business is, then I want you to smash that thumbs up and get ready to dive into things today. Well, before we dive into the Paralegal Mastery Lounge and all that it has to offer, I want to first talk about this incredible journey that you went through as paralegal and then business owner and then mentor and coach, and sort of how that evolved for you.
Sure. So I was a paralegal up in Minnesota since graduating high school. That was, general practice paralegal, worked for a solo firm. But I didn't just consistently do that. I kind of was jumping around trying to figure out my career and what I wanted. I worked for Wells Fargo for quite some time. And then I sporadically went back to college to try to be a nurse. And then the law firm drugged me back, and the funny thing is now that I look back, I just realized like my entire life, has been steering me away from just, one thing, and has always been pushing like serial entrepreneur, own businesses. That's just what my mind and my, I guess, sporadicness needs. But so I was a paralegal in Minnesota, and I fell in love with my husband, obviously, years ago, and he lives in Wisconsin. And so with him having a family business here, and it's not an online business, you have to be here. And then he also has a daughter, my stepdaughter, who's 9 now. It just made more sense for me to move my career and my life to Wisconsin. And then shortly after I got pregnant and was about to have my first son, we realized that I was making like $15 an hour working at a real estate law practice, very transactional work. It's not terrible for around here, but doesn't really make a ton of money. It was 30 minutes one way. And after you deduct like the cost of daycare and all these things, I realized it didn't make sense for me to put my newborn baby, brand new mom, into daycare. And so I tried the stay-at-home mom thing, but quickly realized like I needed, first of all, for our financial resources, I needed to bring some money in, and also realized like I needed more than just motherhood every day to keep me going. Nothing wrong with being okay with just some days I wish I could just be a stay-at-home mom, right? But I just needed a little bit more. So I actually connected with a company. They're now called Blvd Solutions. And back then they focused also, heavily on the law firms. I don't know how much they focus on that now, but they did. And I can remember that was like 2018, and I connected with them in one of the paralegal groups and sent them my resume. And then a couple months later, I got this email like, hey, we have a job for you. Would you mind interviewing? We'll check your references. And it was a very low paying, I think I made $12 an hour as a subcontractor, but I was just working in the IME department for a work comp firm out of Chicago. And I remember thinking I was getting scammed because I'm like, there's no way I can work for some big, regional, huge law firm out of Chicago from my house in little old Wisconsin. And it ended up being a real thing. And I was able to put some food on the table and get some gas money and actually supplement our financial, well-being a little bit. And as I developed good relationships with this company, more clients they'd offer them to me first. I was a little crazy trying to juggle a brand new baby and working. Like I learned so many skills.
So many coping mechanisms.
Oh yeah, coping mechanisms, skills. Like I learned how to live my life in 5-minute increments and multitask and all of those things and be crazy. They always say when the baby sleeps, you need to sleep. And I wasn't. I was working when the baby was sleeping. But you know what? That was my foot and that was my first door into this entrepreneurial paralegal journey that I have. So I worked with them for about 2 years and started to, try to piecemeal my own ideas. I always had this idea of starting a paralegal business, even when I first moved to Ogama, but I just couldn't fathom like how it was going to work. How would law firms actually want to contract with me? How would law firms actually find me or I find them? How would I market myself? How would I handle the security? I mean, working in a law firm where we were on a server, I couldn't even imagine like working exclusively from home for that firm. This is pre-pandemic, right? And so I never really had that confidence, but I tried to piecemeal everything I possibly could from YouTube, from other groups, learning how to be a virtual assistant, try to apply that information to the paralegal world because I knew that there was always going to be a but or a however when it comes to attorneys. And when you're working with attorneys, it's just a different type of professional. Their idiosyncrasies, their quirks, their concerns. I was really like not confident in being able to start it. But 2 years later, I don't know what it was, March 23rd, 2020, I just woke up one day and I'm like, enough is enough. I think I was sick of the turmoil I was putting myself through on the what ifs. What if this could work? We had $200 in our bank account. We were constantly behind on bills. We were struggling. And I'm like, I just have to see if I can do this. Like, I have to give myself the chance. And so I started my own business. I was still subcontracting and maintaining that at least a little bit of security of having some money coming in, but could not imagine how quickly I was going to take off and develop this business that ended up becoming what it is today. And we quickly grew. And within our first year, first full fiscal year, we did 6 figures in our revenue, and I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And so now by our third year, yeah. So by our third year, and there's so many, details within those years of how the company evolved and changed and merged, but I'll spare the super deep nitty gritties of that. But into
another
our third
episode.
year, yeah, exactly. Into our third year, our third full fiscal year, we did $500,000. And I still sit there, just sometimes, my husband and I built our dream home. We have a lot more financial freedom and securities. And I shouldn't say freedom, but securities, which is what we've always been looking for. Comfort. And then looking back at that $200 in my checking account and not worrying about putting food on the table to now, like having that financial comfort. And so that's sort of like how I went from, I was a paralegal. I didn't have a ton of paralegal experience. There's so many paralegals I work with today that are like way out paralegal me. I was not this top. I was a good paralegal, but I was jack of all trades, master of none. But to be able to take that and add a little bit of drive and determination and honestly curiosity to that and create what is now a very successful company.
And brave.
Bravery.
You're brave too for doing that. You really took that huge leap of faith. Did you ever wonder, why didn't I do this sooner?
Oh yeah, 100 times over. I mean, but the only thing that I do know, and it gives me comfort, is I feel I am the type that says everything comes in divine right timing. And
yes,
I continue to believe in that with my business and that I just wasn't possibly ready. And truthfully, not on the professional side of things or the experience side of things, but on the personal development side of things. I don't think I was ready for, first of all, success, or believing that I was worthy of success, or believing that I was worthy of wealth, or creating a form of wealth or financial comfort. I didn't think I was worthy of that. And I think I had to get through those blocks first to be able to allow that to come through and come forth. So, but yes, absolutely. And like, why? If I knew that I could have done this, I would have just jumped right in back in, 2017, 2018, instead of, just figuring it out and having negative balances in my account for so many years, but it really built character in me.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, sometimes you have to go through it to get through it.
Yes, 100%.
That just requires that. So At what point did you decide this is something that other people need? Or, I mean, how did you transition to mentor and coach?
So truthfully, so my original paralegal networking group was called the Paralegal Entrepreneur Circle. We ran that for a couple of years, and that was born out of a little bit of a place of frustration in just the new era of contracting for
Yeah.
paralegals. Yes, it's always been here, but it really blew up around the pandemic time. And there's so many great paralegals out there, but they just need a few fine tweaks as it relates to getting into out of the employee mindset and into more of a business owner
Yeah.
mindset and
Yeah.
contracting and being
Mm.
successful. So when I merged my company into more of an agency model where I don't do paralegal work anymore, and we quickly merged into that within the first year of our company, I just was having a hard time connecting with paralegals that were like-minded, that were going to be really accountable, that wanted this for a business. And so I started this group, and then, all these questions coming in and seeing all these amazing paralegals struggling or in the same spot I was years ago of, is this
Mhm.
even possible? Where do I start? I'm trying to piecemeal things and just being like, I really love to teach. I love to speak. I love to guide. And I want to see other paralegals be able to reach their own successes. So it was sort of um, a self-fulfillment side for my company to be connecting with higher level professionals or more serious professionals, but it was also fulfilling a passion of mine, which is to, especially as it relates to women, but I don't gender discriminate with my coaching, but to help people find a different path. And then
Yeah.
that's gone even more beyond what I could have imagined with that passion since. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you used to have a podcast, solo to supported. And I would
Yeah.
tell people all the time, just listen to this podcast. And paralegals would push back saying, why? It's for attorneys. It's not really for
Right.
me. She is arming you with the language that you need to sell and brand yourself as a paralegal. And what you do is the product, it's the service.
Right.
So awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Paralegal Mastery Lounge. So we kind of talked about why you decided to go into that route, but why Paralegal Mastery Lounge? I mean, what part of that particular space did you gravitate to?
Sure. So as I was saying, I did focus, I had the Paralegal Entrepreneur Circle for a couple of years. And this year, we, and just a little bit of a backstory on how that came about. We merged into doing full-time employee recruiting in my
Mm,
company, del.trust, at the mid to end of last year.
mhm.
And so we're kind of that full cycle, full service consulting law firm staffing agency, from the 1099s to the W-2s to the staff management to the employer branding. We do all of those things. So I got to see another coin of the other side of the coin within the staffing world of
Yeah.
paralegals. And I thought I knew the market so well until I got into the recruiting side of things, to see the employee side. I'm so heavily focused before then in the contracting, in the 1099 space.
Yeah.
Now being in the full-time recruiting space, I'm really seeing, I don't want to call it a gap, but an underestimation of paralegals and their value in the legal industry. And so for so long, paralegals have always been coined as support staff. I mean, and yes, I kind of cringe at
Sure.
that word. I understand, they're there to support the attorney's practice. However, I think it's such a specialized, undermined profession that deserves more value, monetary as well as just the attention it receives, the way it's perceived by other industry professionals, by the general public, etc. So like you and I are very big on this, disrupting the industry. I'm sort of on a mission. I shouldn't say sort of. I'm on a mission to empower paralegals to make more money and have a higher level of a career that they don't think that can be achievable in the paralegal world. They think that I'm going to cap out at 50,000, 70,000 a year. There's nothing more out there for me. But I also recognize that, paralegal, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
totally get that. But if we apply the same mentalities, the same approaches to employees, if we take that entrepreneurial spirit and mindset and ingrain it into paralegals as employees, they're then going to create and develop themselves to be ready for those six-figure and above positions. So and that's why I called it paralegal mastery, because we're mastering the paralegal industry, not necessarily what we do on a day-to-day basis, the drafting of the pleadings, the case management, those types of things, but mastering that industry and taking it further beyond where it is. And really empowering paralegals to just know, like, they don't have to accept their current situation. They don't have to accept their current market or what's around them. They can make more money, and they will, through self-career development, whether they want to become entrepreneurs or become intrapreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, let's talk about that particularly and what that means for anybody who doesn't hear that word often. What does that mean for the paralegal entrepreneur?
So an entrepreneur is an employee that's operating like an entrepreneur, but leveraging the resources of their company to do so. So a really great example to just simplify it is Paul Bouhet. He worked for
Mm-hmm.
Google, and he was the inventor of Gmail. He didn't own Google. He's not a founder of Google, but he invented that product within Gmail. And now he has like I don't know, $1 billion net worth, so look at what he's done for Gmail. So it's for Google with their AdSense and all their extra customers and all these people that ended up coming over. So that's the example I like to use, because what Paul Bouhet did, if I wanted to go start a software, and I was really passionate about it, a new email service that had a bigger storage than any email service out there, and I wanted to create this software. It requires funding. I think I actually looked into developing a software once, and they quoted me somewhere in the $90,000 for a very basic. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why not everybody's creating softwares. So if I wanted to do something like that as an entrepreneur, I would have to go get funding, angel investors, loans, somehow raise those funds to create that product. Whereas like somebody like Paul Bouhet leveraged the funds and the funding of his current company to create this product. And although it's not his for longevity, what it's done for him as an individual in his profession, he's now like founder of right. It's immeasurable.
Right. Immeasurable.
So that's where we're looking at the entrepreneur for the paralegal, is to approach their work in that mindset to be able to develop and invest not only in their company, but reap the benefits as a result, and be ready for those higher level jobs as we quantify the efforts they've made in their company, and then are able to showcase them in a form of a portfolio or in the resume, and be able to speak on those things. We saved our law firm $30,000 per year due to the implementation of XYZ, right?
Yeah.
So really that's what that is. And it's the same concept of entrepreneur. You have that spirit, you want to find a problem, you want to solve it, and then market yourself to do so. Same concept. The only difference is you're utilizing the resources of your company to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there aren't enough paralegals out there willing to go above and beyond. I think that they're okay with where they're at, and they're comfortable where they're at, and don't rock the boat. But rocking the boat could be kind of a good thing. You could be spearheading an entire revolution, for your company, that could lead to things that are so much better. And I want to also segue this into the, treating your paralegal career as a business, because you're likely not to stay at the same job that you got initially, or probably 2 or 3 years down the road. You're probably going to skip around a little bit as you're familiarizing yourself with the industry and who you are as a paralegal, and what areas of law drive you, most. But I tell people it's like building a house. Your paralegal career is like building a house. You studied for that career, and you became that career, and that was the blueprint in designing your life. You moved into the house. You are a paralegal, and you're doing the thing now. But just like moving into a house, after a while, I had the budget for builder grade. But build or grade isn't enough after a while. It's time to decorate the house. It's time to scale that career and the knowledge that we have as part of that career a little bit more. And what happens to our homes if we don't update them? They become obsolete, they become stagnant, they become dated. And then when we want to go and sell that house, i.e., go to another law firm or legal operations team, we're going to be obsolete. We're going to be dated if we don't continue to level up and innovate.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's what it is. And even, like going to the entrepreneurial side of things, it's the same thing. I mean, even once you've arrived, what got you to, and actually I shouldn't say once you have arrived, because I want this to apply. I love to meet people where they're at. I want this to apply both to the entrepreneur that really wants business ownership and that's their dream, and the person that just wants to earn six figures and above in their profession at a company. Is what got you to this dollar amount won't get you to that dollar amount. What got you to that dollar amount won't get you to the next. So it's even, in my 3 years of operating this company, 3.5 years, and as we continue to grow and go through hard times and good times and bad times and great times, constantly learning, evolving, changing, reading, developing, learning new things. And that's that growth mindset. I'm really trying to push within the Paralegal Mastery Lounge. So it's like both the elevating the career, the earning potentials, but also developing yourself along the way, and getting to a place of confidence, a place of true career enjoyment. Like you said, you're decorating the house and it looks a little bit prettier at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right. And it probably feels better at the end of the day too.
Right. Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
New design, new me.
Right.
Okay. Tell me who are the best fits for the Paralegal Mastery Lounge? Obviously, it's the paralegals, but who would you say is the ideal fit for the Paralegal Mastery Lounge?
So, and maybe this is bad, and actually it's funny because my entire career, I've always been like niche down, niche your ideal client down, niche it down, niche it down, niche it down. And when I came into the Paralegal Mastery Lounge, I expanded it a little bit, but within a niche. So the niche of the Paralegal Mastery Lounge is paralegals or legal assistants, maybe your entry level, what have you, that want to elevate their career and earning potentials. It serves the people within that phrase that want to do it entrepreneurial, intrapreneurial, or just basic career growth. I'm coming in, Jack can help me figure out like resume building. How can I start working as an entrepreneur even at the entry level? How can I get my foot in the door? Those types of things. But really it's serving those people that want to make more money as a paralegal. I'm living proof that it's possible. I'm living proof, and I everybody, every time I get on webinars, I apologize before I say this, and they tell me, stop apologizing for your success. But I come from a place of like, we don't talk about money. Like what we here, everybody's kind of like very private that way. My family's very private that way. So it's hard for me to say, but to realize like I'm living proof that a paralegal can earn more than an attorney. I can earn more than I always wanted to go to law school for other reasons than just money, obviously, actually for most reasons, not money, because attorneys sometimes don't make great money. But I was able to, instead of going to law school and embracing that paralegal title, developing a business out of it, and then creating another business within myself, into the specialization of staffing, the specialization of development. So that's my long way of saying this is for people that have even a slight belief system that they can earn into the six figures, that they can change their financial picture forever, that they can build the life of their dreams by taking one step every day. And that's the Paralegal Mastery Lounge is just jam-packed with information to allow you to take actionable steps every day. You don't have to sit there and wonder like, where do I begin, or what should I do next, or what should I watch today? Like it's right there in the lounge for you. There's a community already built up of people, both employees wanting to make more money and people wanting to start their own businesses or in the process of starting their own businesses. We have challenges, products, expert interviews. I just had you in there this month. So
yeah, go watch my podcast interview.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Expert interviews, so live Q&As with me, and just constant access to me for questions, for reinforcement. And I do even have, I do 4 videos myself per month in the entrepreneurial space, the intrapreneurial space, career development as a whole, and then the personal development. Because like I mentioned in the beginning, that was one of the biggest things that's holding me back to start this journey of mine that ended up being so wonderful. But to start it was that personal holdback. So I made it a point to put that in there as well, and people can watch it or not. It's all self-paced. So yeah, that's sort of who it. I hope that's clear for you, you
Yeah,
guys.
for sure. Well, you did a great job, because my next question was, what can they expect once they get in there? And I didn't even have to ask that. You already gave me all that information. So that's great, because I think people really need to know that. I mean, they see, hey, I can join up for this group, but what is it, and what am I going to get out of it, and what am I going to see within it? And so it's important that we talk about that, and they know what to expect. How can paralegals join the Paralegal Mastery Lounge?
So you just visit paralegalmasterylounge.com. There's links to join all over on the homepage. You can go into my product section, look at my other products that we have. But I will give you a heads up, if you go in and say you don't want to get my LinkedIn challenge, that's going to be free for you once you're in the lounge. So when you look, you might as well just join the lounge, and even for a month to see what it's like. My client welcome packet, templates, a product that's free in the lounge, and more to come, obviously. And then I have some discounted services like one-on-one coaching with me, stuff like that. So just visit the paralegalmasterylounge.com and you'll know what to do.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for providing all that you have, all the nuggets of wisdom that you've provided us with today. I have one more question for you, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but how many years did you wait, from beginning that paralegal role? How many years did you wait till you started to go into that remote space? Not necessarily the entrepreneurial space, but the remote space.
So I had on and off about 7 years of experience as a paralegal. But when I say that, and I always hate saying that, because I want to say that I believe even somebody entry level can get right into the remote space. You and I are big on that too. Like, what difference does it make? And that there's other services out there that you can offer within the legal space that are equally as lucrative as far as financials go and expanding a company. So I did have 7 years on and off experience. And when I say on and off, like there was times I wasn't being a paralegal, but I still was on cases, stuff like that. But I would say like my direct in firm experience at that point was like 4 or 5 years. So definitely not 20 years, 30 years.
Right.
Like a lot of the
But do you
paralegals
think that since the pandemic, the law firm in and of itself has shifted in such a way that going in those remote positions right away is much more feasible?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I even remember the first client I had, not to go down a rabbit hole, one of the first clients I had back in the pandemic, she was still all online, or excuse me, on desktop. Nothing was online. I could not access any of her files. It wasn't working. And then it's funny because we've maintained a connection, and 3 years later, it's like she has a project that a paralegal needs to work on, and it's like easy, get it over to them. It's like, yay, everybody is getting there.
Yeah, I feel like, we needed people to come into the office because we had shelves and postage machines and copy machines and red wells and folders and brackets. And we just had to teach the people all the things of inside the office. And none of our training was systemized, and it was person to person sitting at one desk. This is how we do everything, and this is the way our files are. And I think because we were catapulted in the technology that we are today because of the pandemic, that it makes it much more feasible to train someone remotely. If all of your training is there online, if we've got Teams, if we've got Zoom, I know with BP Connects, we're going to be able to host things over there for law firms. Send your people over there to train. I think we are able to shift the industry in such a way, industry disruptors, you and I, that the feasibility for those new paralegals coming in and working in a remote position, should they choose to want to do so, is at a much higher success rate. And I think that's where I get with some of the new paralegals coming in. Am I actually going to get a job? Am I going to be able to go remote? And for a while, I had to say no. It's really, really hard. But I think over the years, it's become so possible. And I really want to give hope to those new paralegals coming in?
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Because it's definitely changed. And even outside of the law firm setting, I mean, paralegals are starting to show their value in other industries as well, and other types of
For sure.
companies that cross sell to attorneys, things of that nature. So the opportunities are becoming endless, and I'm really ready to empower paralegals to not only take advantage of them, but to speed it up. Let's speed this
Yes.
industry up a little bit. I want paralegals to be respected for what they are, not for who they serve. Does that make sense?
Oh,
You know,
100%. Like that needs to be on my bumper sticker. Like we're gonna put that on a t-shirt. We're gonna
yeah,
sell that.
right,
For
right.
sure. What I want to know finally, and then I'll let you go for the rest of your day, is what is your position on the paralegals serving as part of the solution to the justice gap?
Oh, 100% believe it's necessary, and actually, most of my clients as attorneys feel the same way.
Okay.
I believe, I wish, if that option even became available, I would put myself through more school to in Wisconsin to be able to get that, because I see it all around me, with family members, with friends, going through I shouldn't say small, but less litigated, less intense
Yes.
legal issues that they can't navigate because they don't have the money to go retain an attorney at their hourly or at their package rate. But it doesn't require an attorney. We know behind the scenes the paralegal is doing everything anyway
We
on
do.
those types of cases, right? And I just think
For
it's
those type of cases, yes, 100%. I'm not trying to take away from the attorneys. Uh,
absolutely not.
not at
No.
all. Okay.
Right. No, absolutely not. And that's why my firms feel the same way. They're like, oh, it'd be a really great thing for the general public to be able to go through some small claims, or be represented in non-contested divorces, things like that.
Right.
Just help people navigate the legal procedure. So I think I'm a supporter of it.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm a supporter of it too. I know that there are some states that are really pushing back. I know there are some states that are truly advocating for it. California, we talked last time about how they identified that their people said that they don't know what a legal issue is, not that they can't afford an attorney. And I really think that that's wrong. I think that that's backwards. I think
I
that
agree.
they know when they have a legal issue. And even if they know, some of them still can't afford attorneys. And I
Yeah,
was in that position back
right.
in, 18 years ago when I had to go to the law library and look everything up by hand. So I agree. I think paralegals can and should serve as part of the answer to the justice gap. I think lowering overhead costs and being smarter about the way that we work with our data and with each other, I think will go a long way towards closing that justice gap. So again, thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time today. Do you have any parting words for incoming paralegals coming into the industry looking for a little inspiration, guidance, and hope?
Yes, my number one advice is don't wait for your career to develop you, develop your career. And that sometimes requires some personal effort, off the clock, at home, in the bathtub, reading books, educating, seeking out additional certifications or additional classes and courses and areas of expertise. Don't be a lifelong learner. Be a lifelong learner. Don't wait for your firm to invest in you. Invest in yourself, and that it will pay off. I promise it will pay off.
Yeah, I tell people that you can spend all your days building somebody else's dream, or you can spend the
Yeah,
rest of your days building your own. So
absolutely. And look at every job that you're building your dreams within it, and approach it from that angle, and you'll be golden.
100% awesome.
Ooh,
Thank you so much for
you're
your time
welcome.
today. Okay. So I'm curious, what was your biggest takeaway from today's interview? And what actions can you start taking right now towards that paralegal freelance business of yours? Or towards that entrepreneur relationship and gaining that earning potential that you truly want? Let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in joining the Paralegal Mastery Lounge, I want you to check out the description box below. There will be a link, and it's not an affiliate or partnership link. This is all just completely for you. I want to empower you as a paralegal. I want to empower you as a paralegal Boss. Enrollment is open right now, and there are both monthly and yearly subscriptions available. However, I do believe Jaclyn is going to close the Paralegal Mastery Lounge soon. So you definitely want to check out the description box below and head on over to the Paralegal Mastery Lounge. If you liked today's video, please smash that subscribe button, click that thumbs up, and don't forget to click that bell notification so that you receive a notification of each time I put a video on here. Of course, good luck to you and all that you do, because this crazy legal industry needs an amazing paralegal boss just like you. Have an awesome rest of your day, a wonderful week, an amazing weekend ahead of you, and I will see you guys back here on the next one. Mwah. Bye, guys.